Hey, Google, connect to my Mac.
All right, looking for paired device. Bluetooth is connected to.
Hey, just one sec, guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to log into my iPad. Oh, might as well turn on my camera. Yeah. All right. All right. You guys can go ahead and turn on your cameras too. I'm just trying to log into my iPad so I can get two screens with the. Oops, not this one. CS2A. 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 Photo zoom. All right, so let me see. If I enter this meeting, join meeting. Yay, okay. All right, state co-host, no audio. I can't believe the number of buttons I have to press in order to do this. So it's kind of strange. Okay, great. Yeah, well, welcome to class. It's week 6 and it is midterm week. And I see that you guys are flowing through the quests, and this is absolutely fantastic to watch for me. And so I'm happy. And as usual, we'll give the rest of the guys a chance to join us. Kate, welcome to class. You were absent last class, right? Did you get a chance to watch the video? Yeah, okay, great, awesome. Because Anthony was coding last class, and I think we managed to complete, right? So if I remember correctly, we completed the whole thing that we planned to do last class, which is really cool. And so today, basically, here, okay, I have the luxury of not talking about objects this week because in the past, I have had success in only starting to talk about objects in week 7. Okay, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Those 5 weeks, objects and objects related stuff. However, it's kind of tight. So if possible, I'd prefer to start talking about objects right away. So we have a little bit more time. Maybe we can do some more interesting stuff with objects. Otherwise, I'm more than happy to answer any other questions you guys may have, any concept level questions you're still stuck with, stuff about the midterm and so on. It's perfectly fine. Okay, so you guys should feel free to ask, and do keep flowing ahead in the quests. And the one thing you have to remember with posting on Reddit is that I mentioned this to my CS2C students also, right? People who are asking for and getting help on forums other than Reddit, they basically, essentially screwed as far as participation points are concerned, right? They're not going to get. I don't have any visibility into what they're doing, especially if they just quest for a couple of days hard and then go missing for several days and then come back and quest again, and then I don't see any evidence that they are struggling or asking questions, or I don't know where they're getting stuck, so I don't understand what their difficulties are. Then my prediction system typically makes assigns probabilities at the end of the quarter. It will pretty much say that this particular student essentially purchased all the solutions, or got someone else, brother, father, mother, or a friend to code it up for them, and they didn't bother to understand but just submitted what they got. Right, so those are the signs that would characterize in the participation point system a student who is basically, and also the students who are helping other people out on Discord and the Slack and all these other channels, they also don't get any participation points for these things. Okay, so it's okay if those guys are just happy with a B+, which I've mentioned in the syllabus too, right? If you're okay with a B plus and you just want to do the questing and just get through the class so you can go to do the next level class, that's perfectly fine. So the difference between the two is that just getting a B plus and moving on to the next level class is enough to convince yourself that you're good, right? Because you may be really, really good in computer science and programming. And if you just want to convince yourself that you're good, because I know lots of people who are really solid, but they just don't have the confidence, okay? Maybe because of what people have told them in the past, or maybe because they haven't tried it out, but they have the right thinking, and so on. And so those people can do the questing and do the course, but they don't have to participate because they're just trying to convince themselves that they actually know all the material. That's perfectly fine. You won't get an A territory, but B plus is almost certain if you do everything else correctly. But those who really do want a grade as well, and also those who want to have to leave a trail of interesting breadcrumbs, okay? Because before you know it, you guys can't even imagine it. Before you know it, you will be expert programmers, okay? You will be solid programmers in computer, C++, and then you'll think back and say, how did I do this? And it's very hard to remember, okay? And so I tell you, it is like super duper useful to leave breadcrumbs along the way so that you can look back. So when you complete your CS2C, if you do it with me, okay, if you do it with CS2C with me, and you complete the last red quest, which is like the super duper challenging one. I told my CS2C students too, right? Even if I go and ask some of my, ex-colleagues who are now, professional software management, leading big teams in Google and Microsoft and all these other, top places, even if I, ask them to come over and try this red quest, I can bet that it'll take them at least, 4 or 5 days, because it'll take me at least 4 or 5 days anyway. And I designed these quests, and because I know that, these quests were designed with the point, with the point of, making people stop and think at certain points. And so I deliberately injected places where you will be confused. Even though you know all the material, you'll be confused because this is a particular way in which the problem needs to be solved, and so on and so forth. So where I was going with that was that it really does no good to just blast through it in a couple of days. And so So people who are really good, who just want to convince themselves B plus is fine. And but if you're shooting for the territory and want to leave a breadcrumb trail, right? So after you finish quest 9 in red, I will hopefully, say, thank you for doing this course. Here's a post you made 4 quarters ago in CS2A. Think of this post where you asked a question about should I use size t or int in this loop? Okay, and here's a question you asked in CS2C as you are solving this quest. Hey, if I do the check before versus after, it turns the algorithm from linear to log linear, or log linear to linear, or something like that, right? And you're asking a profoundly conceptual question that is taking for granted a lot of intricate mechanisms in C++ that you're not even thinking about. You're actually thinking about the problem and the complexity and not thinking about the language anymore, right? And when you're at that point, if I show you this post that you made, which you would have forgotten. I find that many students actually forget these things. Yeah, and if I show you, hey, this is what you asked, some months ago, and what do you think? And it's a fantastic reflection and these reflections I find are actually very useful. I didn't initially used to think that reflections are just interesting things, but when my daughter was in kindergarten, her teacher used to make her do reflections. I think she made him do reflections on the very first class, when we went and let her in class, and then said bye and went away, and she was so fearful because the first time she's been away from home and all. That day, the teacher, Nancy Shoreham, actually, I remember her name. So she asked all of the students to sit down and do a reflection, saying, what do you think? Well, how do you feel about being in class, away from your parents, away from home for your first time? Just write down whatever you think. It's totally ungrammatical bullshit. But, but the essential thoughts are still there, right? And then when the students graduated, or maybe it was just finished that year, she asked them to write another reflection. Maybe there were a couple more during the year. And then she asked them to compare. And the students were totally surprised. right? I'm so confident now. I have friends. I have people that I can talk to, interesting things going on. But when I came here, I was so fearful. I thought everybody was going to pounce on me and eat me. And those are the things I wrote. And these are the things I wrote. And looking at them side by side just gives you an idea of how much we ourselves have grown in just 3 months or 6 months or 7, 9 months, right? 1 year, because many people are not aware of, how much they've grown. Most people are only aware of where they are at any given point in time. So we have to give ourselves the luxury of stepping back and saying, well, you know what, I'm comfortable enough right now. And now I can think back to say, wow, have I improved my life? Has my life improved in the last year? Right? And if so, how much effort did I put in for this amount of improvement? Which means that gives me a pretty good idea of how much effort I need to put in for that much amount of improvement over the next 7 years. Yeah, does it make sense? And so that's where we're going with all this. And the other reason I like to make this, encourage you to be open and about your thinking, right? Is about your thinking. Not, I don't care about the solutions. Okay, if people go and submit solutions in the question system, get everything right, and then all the midterm questions right, it's nothing to me really, because I can't help you with just seeing the correct solutions. However, I can help you a lot if I can see how you think, right? And say, well, they're actually thinking in a way that could take them down the wrong path, and they'll never find the solution, right? And then I would say, and the problem I find, I've found, right? Maybe it's wrong, and maybe it's not what other people have found. So it's up to you and entirely up to you to verify by yourself. And it's not just with students, right? And even with kids, very young kids, I find that many times students get penalized for wrong answers, but right thinking. Right. And I told this to one of my friends. I was walking with them a couple of days ago by the lake, and I said, kids also, many young children get punished by their parents for right thinking but wrong facts, wrong data. Right. If you're doing philosophy, that inductive arguments, deductive arguments. Pure logic. Deductive arguments is pure logic. If the premises are right, the conclusion has to be right. Right? So the construction of the deductive argument is usually a stroke of genius, because coming up with the argument itself is very hard. And so coming up with the argument gives you a framework where that argument is valid, which means that thinking of the argument is correct. Now, at that point, if you inject wrong premises into the argument, the conclusion will be false. Yes. So as an example, take the very famous the Western analogy. What the example for Aristotle or Socrates? I don't know, one of these people, right? What's the most famous argument used for syllogism, or it's called deductive inference? Is right? All men are mortal, and Socrates, right? All men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is also mortal. Now, is that a valid argument? Is it a valid argument? Yes, because there is absolutely no way, right? Even if some super duper powerful, high dimensional thinking alien comes to Earth and says, that is false, you can say, no, it's not false, because, it's deductive, it's solid, it's a self-contained, right? There's no way it can be false. However, the conclusion can be false if one of the premises is true, right? So the premise, what are the premises? Socrates was a man, all men are mortal. Those are the two premises. Yes, but maybe Socrates was not a man, right? And this is something maybe Socrates was a woman. And in those days, in ancient Greece, right? It's there probably is, even though we think of them as civilized and all that, it was highly patriarchal, right? And a class-based system, and where women were considered inferior to men and things like that. So it doesn't matter whether you bring sound judgment and thinking. It's what you are that matters. Are you a man or a woman? Right, that's what determines, right? So maybe Mrs. Socrates was the one who actually came up with the brilliant syllogism, right? And then they took it to the council, and they said, well, you know what? This is actually a fantastic logical structure, but I don't think you could have come up with this because you're a woman. So I don't think we'll call it Mrs. Socrates' law. We'll call it Socrates' law. right? And then for the next 2,000 years, we've known it as Socrates' law. Well, of course, this is totally hypothetical, but it could have happened, right? In ancient societies, because the rights were differently distributed, so it's entirely possible. But where I'm going with that is that if you have a deductive argument, you could spit out a wrong conclusion based on incorrect facts. Now, I have seen in many families too, unfortunately, that children always get, many times, they get punished by parents uh, for having wrong facts, but the right thinking. And that's because the people who are looking and evaluating the children or helping them, trying to help them, cannot do the logical thinking themselves in their heads. So they can only look at the solution. And they say that the conclusion is wrong, so your thinking is wrong. No, their thinking is correct, but the facts they used to make that inference is wrong. So, but if the parent or the caregiver is not able to think correctly themselves, they'll say, well, you know what, you got to change your thinking. The facts are what they are, but you got to change your thinking to get the right answer. And that is like totally, that child is now screwed up for life. Right? They'll grow up with all kinds of prejudices. They'll have to go to a shrink later on when they're, I don't know what the hell is going to happen. So, but the thing is, you get punished many times for wrong facts instead of, and then foisted upon you is corrective thinking when your thinking is already correct. Right, and that is one of the things that I'm also trying to push in the computer science department. Actually, well, entire Foothill College is that I've made because right now I think there is maybe there is a little bit of a resistance against the questing system, or that my courses are so challenging to students in comparison to other classes where they're probably easier. I don't know, right? Maybe easier to get through, or maybe they not all the hard topics are taught. And the reason for that, when we dive into that, in the various data analysis stages that we go through in these institutions, is that the success rates of students has now gone down because the course is harder. Okay, now this is a classic example of the situation I described, right? The conclusion is that the success rate has gone down, right? But the process to get to the success rate is, good knowledge and good teaching. Now, if you say that you start off with improper knowledge, and good teaching is not going to fix it, and then your success rate is going to be low. So in order to, this is the reason I said this is because this is a problem. I've managed large hierarchical executive teams out in the real world before. Okay, and whenever a VP or someone comes to our meeting and says, this unit in the organization is not functioning properly because and therefore we need to look into that and sack people in that, fire, lay off people in that division which is not performing, and I always say that is a mark of a poor VP. Right, and I say, we put them on a plan or something, because that's not the right approach. The right approach is always, that unit is underperforming, so let's take a step back and look more deeply at the data and say exactly where is the underperformance happening. Right, so maybe sometimes in my experience I've found the underperformance is not even in that unit. It is in some other unit which creates the prep work which this unit works on, especially in machine learning and data, which you may see, right? So in data engineering, there's many teams, many teams. Some teams working on, just ETL. ETL is cleaning the data, because when you get data from log files and all, crawlers, it's a very untidy, crappy data, right? ETL is, it can be a blessing and a curse at the same time. I know that sometimes it's actually fun to do ETL, other times it's a pain because these tiny things you have to take care of. So the ETL has to be good, and the data that comes out of ETL needs to be filtered and clean. And then after ETL, it needs to be normalized. Normalized meaning, if temperatures, normalized meaning everything is within a range, right? Not everything is something that can be modeled. And then after the normalization, you go to the modeling step. So there's many steps in machine learning and data engineering. So just because the last step gives you undesirable results, you can't say, well, this whole unit is faulty, so we'll just fix the last step. Yes, doesn't make sense, right? So you have to drill down and say, well, this whole unit is underperforming. So let's now drill down into where exactly the cause is. Is it inside of this unit, or is it in the data that's flowing into this unit? And therefore, that's where we need to go. So what I've found in my own data analysis is that the poorness in success rates of my downstream classes is mainly due to students entering my heavier courses, 2B and 2C, with under coaching for 2A, meaning that the 2A, they basically just went right through, right? And they got past, they got past it for not doing real work. They got graded for effort. Or touchy-feely instructor that says, "Oh, I'm so sorry for you. Here's an A," right? So that kind of thing, which students don't complain about usually, and they usually go and praise that instructor paradoxically in forums, so that more people will enroll to in these classes. So all of those are contaminating effects, and so that's what I found is that the success rate is highly dependent on individual classes that are feeders to the harder classes. And but unfortunately, there are also many people, rightfully or unrightfully, because I don't know, who say it infringes on academic freedom of professors if you want to evaluate their individual classes, right? Because you cannot go in and look at what they're teaching behind closed doors. And so they could be teaching bullshit, but we don't have power to go in and look. So there, in that sense, our hands are bound. So we have to either live with very low success rates in class, or we have to basically just go and water everything down now, right? If someone behind closed doors is teaching bullshit, then we have to make sure that everybody, even the ones outside, they have to teach bullshit so that everybody will, pass and we get good success rates. But in the end, who gets affected in this, right? The students who pass out of CS2C with A pluses will go to an interview at any self-respecting software company, Google, Microsoft, Netflix, wherever it is, right? And they pose a simple warm-up problem on the board and they can solve it, right? And so they'll say, well, people that come out of Foothill College, they're a piece of shit, right? They don't know anything. And you're going to be, and then other students who come out of Foothill who actually know the stuff, they won't even get interviews because of shoddy students who sloppy students who actually got A pluses. They devalue the A pluses of really hardworking students too. And so that is my thing. And I'm if I can't do if my hands are tied through Foothill because of academic freedom and some of these things, I think I have a way in which I can make this possible. I don't know if I talked to you about this before. I can just do it on my own, right? And I can just put some money in the kitty for in my one of my philanthropy efforts, and basically say I'm going to fund scholarships or stipends for instructors teaching not teaching behind closed doors and things like that, right? So anyway, so I don't know where I was going with that, but essentially, if you to get the most out of any learning experience, because you guys are not going to be with me forever, you're going to go on to other classes, other institutions. So to get the most out of a teaching experience, always be vocal, right? Any student, any classmate you have who basically just shows up to classes, submits things and gets points out of it. You never see them discuss things in forums. They don't help other people. They're just out there to say, well, I know all this. I'm just here on the way to get to my glory to pick up some, A pluses, right? And those students, they're just shortchanging themselves because they're never ever going to get directions for improved thinking. Right, and if they think they already know how to think properly, okay, that's fine. But if they better be pretty sure about that, because if they know they think they're doing things properly, but they're not willing to show it to other people, that means that if it's not the right thing, nobody will ever tell them, and they'll end up doing that for life, right? And it's a waste of time, waste of their own time. Maybe it's not a waste of time right now because you're getting something out of it. Maybe that person gets an A plus out of it, but that's only for 3 months. But they're going to follow the same approach for the remainder of their life, and they're going to be doing something inefficient for their whole life. And there's so much wastage in their own lives, right? So that is the reason why it's always better to be open and talk about your thinking in the forums, and say, this is what I'm facing. This is how I'm thinking. Give me some pointers, right? And that's why I also frown upon posts that say, I have no idea. Someone tell me what to do, right? That is a post that will get deleted immediately. Okay, and if those kinds of posts appear repeatedly, those people will also get negative points in participation points, because saying I don't know what to do, just tell me what to do. That is saying asking for the answer, right? Tell me what to do is asking for the answer, and that is negative right there. Right. However, the right way to ask a question is saying, this is if you don't have any idea what to do, a good way to ask the question is to say, I don't have any idea what to do because I don't understand the problem in the first place. Can someone explain what the problem is so I can start thinking about a solution? Right? Fantastic. All right. That shows sincere effort, target towards learning, in not looking for the answer, but looking for what you need to do. Or if you understand the problem and still don't know what to do, you can say, well, I understand the problem. This is what I think I need to do. And this is what I'm trying to do. In order to do that, what am I doing wrong? Okay, fantastic. That's great, because it shows that you're thinking and you're also saying, this is what I've done. Can someone point out what's going on, right? How I should do this better. That's also better, right? Positive points. However, someone says, I understand the problem, but I don't know what to do. Someone tell me what to do here. Negative points right there, because you're saying, I'm not interested in how to solve the problem. I just want the answer. Does this all make sense? Okay, so anyway, so that's where I'm going with all this. You guys are all doing well, okay? And if I do notice posts like that, I'll just delete it so nobody will see, hopefully as soon as possible. But you'll get an idea, right? Saying, well, that post was deleted for a reason, and can I look at that post again and to see what was the issue, right? And then you can ask the same question again in a better way, which you will be proud of, right? That's the reason. If I delete a question and you post the same question again in a better way, that means that I think because I didn't delete that question, I think that 5 quarters from now or 3 quarters from now, when you're doing CS2C, you will be able to look at that question and you will be able to feel good about yourself for asking that question, right? You don't want to be in a position where you look at one of your old posts and say, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid to have asked that question, right? And feel bad about yourself. Well, typically you don't feel bad about yourself in the past at all, as long as you're doing the right thing right now, because people at the end of the day are only evaluating themselves for what they are in that moment, right? They're not thinking about, I could have been a very bad person in the past, but no, maybe I've changed, right? So most people are only evaluating you and themselves for the current time. So, but still, I think it will be useful for you to basically lay the groundwork as you progress, so that your thinking is never wrong. It's always right. It's just changing your facts, right? Your thinking is always right. So I told my kids too, right? So the most important thing for me is just thinking right, and I don't mind if they make wrong decisions in life based on wrong facts. Because I know they're wrong facts, they're wrong decisions, decisions that I don't agree with, decisions that make me angry sometimes. But I'm not going to be angry at you because I know that your thinking is right. Just your facts are wrong, and there's nothing I can do about it, because the facts themselves are in a different world that I'm not in. So you, at some point in your own life, you will be in an environment where you get the correct facts, where at least people who give you contaminated facts have gone from your life, right? Most of the time we have wrong facts and make wrong decisions because we have people in our lives who are feeding us wrong information, right? But over time, if you're true to yourself and saying, I'm just going to be who I am, I'm not going to put on any pretenses, and then you'll find that people who are fake will slowly start moving away from your life. And because they can't handle the truth, and so and because you're true, right? And when these people go away from your life, you'll find that the only people who are there give you true things, right? Things that actually help you. Now, with the true facts and your correct thinking, which you took great care when you were young not to contaminate, that's the greatest risk, right? Especially for kids and for young people like you, when something doesn't work, immediately thinking that, oh, it must be my thinking that's wrong. Right, and children don't know if how they think and all, right? Young people don't know how they think, so they jump the gun and instinctively they think my thinking is wrong. Let me think differently. No. When children actually, in fact, I find, have the most accurate thinking, right? Very young children start out thinking correctly and saying, this is what I need to do because that's what I want to do. Right, and eventually society and all these other things start, in Hinduism we call it Maya, right? So all these things that are actually not relevant at all in your life, right? They will start impinging on their vision, and their vision is clouded. They'll start saying wrong things, and the right things will be obscured, and their decisions will be completely affected from then on, right? And so what happens is that many people at that point will start thinking, oh my gosh, my conclusions are wrong, so my thinking is wrong. And unfortunately, if they change their thinking at that point, they're screwed later on when they get the right facts, right? Then they'll be applying wrong thinking to right facts and still getting the wrong conclusions. And so they'll never find success in life. So the way to get success in life is to not compromise on the right thinking, keep the right thinking always, facts will change, because facts are part of the empirical world, right? And you can control the facts. So you can say, well, I just want right facts around me. Wrong facts, get the hell out of my life, right? So and then you'll have right facts, and then right thinking, and then you'll get the right outcomes out of that. Does it all make sense? And that is why I say in computer science, when you start out with these algorithms, it's important to distinguish in your own mind. Take a step back always. Always take a step back from your algorithms and programs to say, is my program wrong, or is the input wrong? Okay, it is so super duper critical to make that call. Maybe not right now. When you get to 2B and 2C, it's going to be like not even 2B. It's going to be critical even from Quest 6, Quest 7 onwards. Okay, in CS2A. Those of you who've gone on to, you can confirm. Hey, by the way, more people should switch on their cameras too, right? So it's super duper important to say, to look at all of our failures and say, was the failure due to data input coming in, or my thinking operating on the data? Most people I find, even managers sometimes I've hired, they don't do that. They just blindly look at the conclusion and the output and say that's what we should do. And they come and present that in a meeting with other executives. And say, what the hell is going on here? Because as a senior executive, it is our job to drill down into the details and find out exactly where the problem is. You can't just say, I'm going to take the lazy approach and say, take group averages and say, well, this whole group is underperforming, so this is what we should do. That is stupid, right? I can get that out of a kindergarten student if I employ them in a VP position, right? So that's what people pay for. Executives and high senior people in big rich companies, they're paid for not for coming up with these slipshod decisions, but they're actually paid for patiently sitting down, withdrawing, pulling themselves out of the trench and looking at the whole thing and saying exactly where is the problem, because I want to maximize the profits for the company while minimizing the losses. So minimizing the losses means you get as close as possible to exactly where the problem is and try to rectify that. And maybe many times it's probably just a group of 5 or 6 people in one team that is highly isolated, and they're doing something which and everybody else just trusts them, right? And maybe they're good people, but they're working on some assumption that is false, right? So then you can go and correct that, and then everything just miraculously works after that. And by the way, this is the first quest of CS2C. I don't know if you guys will get to that you won't get to it next quarter, right? So it'll be the quarter after that. If you do my CS2C, which I highly encourage you to do, right? I highly recommend that you do my CS2C, do my 2B and 2C, you get credit for all of these. Is that the first quest is basically just looking, nothing works, and it'll be very, very frustrating. And then people will eventually say, I'm just going to look at the data and see what the hell is going on. When they look at the data, they find out, well, I just need to fix the input and everything works. And they make that one small change, and bam, they go all the way from 0 trophies to 30 trophies, right? Bam, 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 everything works. And that's extremely satisfying from what I've heard from many of the students. And that is an example, I think, of putting students in a position where they endlessly punish themselves for wrong thinking when their thinking is actually correct, right? And say, why did I end up punishing myself so much? Because my thinking was right all along. The problem was there. As soon as I fixed that, everything worked. Okay, and so that quest will actually give you a first-hand experience of doing that. If you happen to remember this when you do CS2C, you can think about that. I highly encourage all of you to continue and do my CS2B and 2C, even though I know some of you are in UCs and you don't need to do CS2B and CS2C, and you only need CS2A to continue on. I highly encourage you to, even if you don't do it formally, keep questing and complete all of the quests for 2B and 2C. Because I know that the 2C quests are as challenging as almost the graduate level courses in many of the UCs, and even top research institutions, even they will find it challenging when they sit down and solve the 2C quests. So which means that if you do these, you'll find that you can basically swim through many of your courses in your UCs and other colleges, and classes in machine learning and data engineering, even game development. All of that will be, you'll find it actually a whole lot easier to follow those classes rather than other students who are still trying to hone their thinking while they're getting to that class. they'll get less out of those classes than those who have actually gone all the way through blue, green, and red. And they're basically set up to, after you do blue, green, and red, you're pretty much set up to, work on your own, really, right? You should be able to, well, maybe not. I mean, you should be able to self-sustainingly work on your own, right? And in fact, you'll find that many companies also don't even care about paper qualifications these days, right? If you're able to demonstrate solid critical thinking in interviews, they say you're a hire, even though you may just have gone to school, high school. And so take that as my 2 cents, whether it works for you or not, but I think it's worth thinking about at some point. Okay. All right. So anyway, enough of I don't know how I managed to speak for so long every time. We should basically start coding. If someone would like to volunteer, they should take the screen. Unless you have a question, okay? Unless you guys have a question about anything that we've covered so far. All right. Objects and classes are not part of the midterm on Thursday. First of all, don't be scared of the midterm. Okay. So it's not going to be difficult in Tue May. It's not going to be difficult. And also, if you do really badly in the midterm, and you've put in a reasonable amount of effort, you can always email me later on and say, I'll send you some corrections, or can you set me up for a retake in week 11 or something like that? And I'll be happy to do that. Okay. So you don't have to say, well, you know what, today and on Thursday, let's use this class to get more information to make the midterm easier for us. You don't have to do that. Okay. We can actually start working on objects and classes right now today. So that we can make use of the class instead of just reviewing stuff that we've already done. Ultimately, it's your call, right? If you want to review stuff that we've already done, or maybe go over existing projects, maybe Anthony or Michael or where's Juan? He's not here today, right? All these other people have done before. So we can do that too. Otherwise, we can start talking about another interesting project. I actually had an idea yesterday that I wanted to try out. And I thought maybe if one of my 2A students are interested, we could try it out in class. So I think it's fun, okay? I think it's fun, and it's going to involve objects and classes, okay? And it'll be easy. It'll be easy. You'll do it. The person who's going to do it will actually be able to do it. And I hope, right? If my gut feeling is correct, I hope it'll work, okay? And I think it'll work because in my mind, it seems to play out okay. So I think it'll work, and it'll be fun to do it and play with it today, just like all the other stuff we've done before. So we can do that project. I'm eager to try it out. If not today, we're going to do it on next Tuesday. So because it's not like because I don't plan to do it on my own until then, right? I just want to do it with you guys the first time, so that we all have the first time experience, rather than otherwise I do it already, and then when you're coding, I'll say don't do it already. Before you make a mistake, I'll say don't do that, make that mistake, right? And you'll never learn from it, and you won't have the pleasure of seeing the thing come together from scratch. So I won't implement it. Although I've done it a bit in my mind, but it's okay. But we can do it next Tuesday, or we can start today and continue to do it until next Tuesday too, right? And Tuesday and Thursday next week also is fine. So if you guys are okay with that, we can do that. Otherwise, you should just ask me questions. Or if you guys want, the other thing I've done with my CS2C students is I just remove myself from your face, right? I just turn the laptop around to face the plants and the tree out there, so that I'm not even looking at you guys, and you guys are talking to each other. Okay, you guys are talking to each other and asking questions, saying, hey, and maybe Jaden will say, how do I do iteration? And then maybe Shadi will jump in and say, well, you can do this. And maybe someone, Michael or Juan, if he's there, shares an iPad. Actually, I wanted to ask Juan a question, because I think he had an iPad. I think it was an iPad, and he had an infinite whiteboard on it. Okay, infinite whiteboard means you can draw things on it, and then you can shrink it. Okay, and then you get more space, and you can keep on drawing. And I think he did that. And I tried to look for an app, but eventually I installed a Microsoft Whiteboard, okay, on my iPad, which is really cool. It's really cool, except that I have to jump through a lot of hoops to get signed in and all. But I was just looking for a no sign in, infinite whiteboard app. Maybe one knows. I'll ask him later, right? So maybe someone like that will jump in and say, well, hey, Jaden or Adam, in order to do your loop, you can do this because you see this arrow here and this, they're drawing on the whiteboard, right, on their iPad. Say, that's how it works, and so on, pictorially explaining things. So you're explaining things and helping each other out. It's actually fantastic. Okay, so if you want to do that for a half hour or a 1 hour, I'll just turn the laptop around. And you should just carry on with that conversation, helping each other out. There should be no silence. Okay, if there's silence, I'll come back. There should be no silence. You're helping each other out, and maybe this, and at the end, maybe you have like a 30-minute clip of this video, because I'm recording it and I can give you the recording, right? 30-minute clip of the video in which you have a bunch of really brilliant and enthusiastic and eager students just talking and helping each other out in computer science. Who knows, right? Take that 30-minute clip and put it out on YouTube. Maybe that's, brilliant students talking about computer science and an impromptu, informal talk show, right? And you have like 100 episodes like that, right? Who knows? Maybe 10 of those episodes may actually go viral because you're talking about interesting things, or someone came up with a brilliant idea. Brilliant, totally brilliant idea that some other person created a research paper out of. Who knows, right? So, but if you never try, you're never going to be in that. If you never go to Disneyland, you can never ride one of those roller coasters. That's what I mean, right? So, so these are things you should try and take the opportunity, right? Because obviously you're pretty much going to be set up for success as a programmer at some point, or something in the computer science field, but doesn't mean you should also shut off these other avenues, right? Because there are people who wanted to be great physicists, but they found that their passion was actually in explaining some of these fundamental physical ideas. So they're now YouTube stars, right? You look at these, Action Lab and all these other videos, enthusiastic people just looking at their faces just fills you with energy for physics, right? Because they're not, they're saying, I'm not going to be out there doing cutting edge research, because this is also cutting edge, just taking what is already there and presenting it in new light, right? That is their skill. And if they had just gone down the road of, I'm just going to be a physicist, I'm going to be a mathematician, only this, they wouldn't have discovered this other facet of their life. Which was much better, right? Well, not much better, much more interesting for them at that time. So these are things these are opportunities that you can leverage, because you can try these for no cost, right? No extra investment of your time. You don't have to take time away from other classes, from your work schedule to do this. In class, in our video, you can basically say, let's try and make this like a talk show, right? Have some interesting questions, interesting answers. Someone can take over, and maybe you can take turns in being the moderator, because having a moderator helps, because a moderator will say, can make sure to look at the talk show or the discussion happening from the point of view of an audience member, right? The moderator essentially imagines, like Oprah, right? When she's doing a talk show, I can bet, right? She's because she's so good, I think, right? She's not imagining herself in the seat with the person that is talking. I bet that when she's talking to that person, she is imagining herself as an audience member out there, asking questions through the chair that her body happens to occupy at that time, right? So that way, that is the reason why the show is so successful, because she speaks to the people, and so she's asking questions that's relevant to the audience. And she's asking them because she's turning herself into an audience member out there. And likewise, if you have a moderator, and you can take turns, because everybody should have practice in being a moderator of any discussion, right? Whether you're a computer scientist or a programmer or any other job, you're going to have to be a moderator. You're going to be a manager at some point. You're going to have moderate meetings where you have teammates and other people updating, right? So you're going to have practice in moderating. So I'd like every one of you to have practice in moderating these discussions. Maybe you should take every class half an hour to do a talk show kind of thing, where you take turns. Today, Kate will moderate. Another day, Jaden, Tim, and so on, they moderate and basically say, right, if they feel that a discussion is kind of wandering away in a way that the audience may lose interest, they can rein them in, right, and say, okay, now let's go and look at another person, right, another suggestion. Or ask questions, interject at the right times, and so on and so forth. Initially, these talk shows that you produce, or in these videos, I bet they're not going to be top notch, obviously, because this is the first time. But you'll find that the more and more you do these things, maybe after 10 or 15 classes, maybe when you're in my 2B or 2C, you'll find that, you are having these incredible discussions that are totally worthy of instructive value, right? Instructive value to people out there. Already, I know that some of you have written to me saying that these videos of past students from previous classes, because a lot of students can make it to our classes, they're sending me email saying, I watched the video and it was very useful, right? Thanks to all the students. And so on. So I pass I pass on the thanks to you now, right? But there are students who actually watch these videos and email me saying thanks. It was useful to them, right? Now imagine, even our students who watch these videos are finding it useful. So it means that there's some value in it. If there's some value, it's a seed. It can grow. Now, so once we've identified that value, which we know for sure because students have told me it is useful, all you need to do is just say, let me grow that value now. And say, well, how can I make it even better? So how can I make it more interesting? How can I make it so that I'm playing the role of the moderator and I can get that person to ask an interesting question rather than ask it myself? I can get that person to ask an interesting question and tease out a really good answer from that person, so that in that recording, right, in that recording, which I post on YouTube, many other people will benefit. So these are, and then you discover a facet of yourself, right? They're saying, well, you know what? I wanted to do programming, but I'm actually a fantastic programming talk show host, right, on YouTube. So maybe you'll discover that. And those are cool things, okay? So up to you. Do you want to start on this project that I have in my mind? Or do you want a half hour to just chat amongst yourself? And then we can come back, at 9:15. We can come back and start coding this project. I don't think we'll have a lot. We need a lot of time. Oh, maybe, I don't know. Even if it spills over, we can do it on Thursday, no problem, or on next Tuesday. But if you want a half hour to just talk about all the things you've done so far, I think most of you have done 5 or 6 quests, or four quests at least. You're on quest 4, right? You can talk about all the quests you've done. Don't give away answers, but you can talk about difficulties and how to solve these difficulties. And it doesn't have to be about the quest. You can talk about projects that we've done in class, right? Code that Hasanta, Jose, Anthony, who else? Jaden, Michael, did you code? You didn't code. Juan coded. One of you, Juan maybe coded. Kate, you coded, right? Yeah, Kate coded. Yeah, Shadi coded. All right. So you can talk about any of those projects too, and say, hey, Shadi, a long time ago when you coded, I remember there was something I didn't quite understand. Can we? Does anybody else understand this? Right? Maybe Shadi also have forgotten that, and so does anybody else understand this? And then you can have an interesting discussion, right? And those are things that will actually end up being more useful for your midterm too, right? Because that'll also be review of all the things for the midterm, right? What is the difference between plus and plus I and I plus plus, right? I tried this, it didn't work, and someone else says, hey, that's what happens. Let's do a little experiment, right? Like Anthony and I did last class, right? We just did. Was it last class, Anthony? We did plus, right? Yeah. So so we did. So someone could say, hey, you know what? Anthony and Anand did last class, but we can do it again in a small function and do plus this side and that side and see what happens. And so you can do that. All those kinds of experimentation is hugely valuable. Okay, hugely valuable. And maybe if it's like 5 minutes, people can, and a clip like that, people can also watch like 5 minutes of clips, 25-minute clips to watch before you go into your midterm exam. Okay, so, and you just watch those and you get an idea of exactly what the important things are. Oh, that's plus, that's passing by reference. This is, each one is just a 5-minute video of you guys talking and one person coming up with an example and another person explaining it, right? And each one is a separate 5-minute clip. And you can just form an album or a playlist of, midterm review playlist. Okay, and we'll make that a playlist on our nonlinear media, right? If before you go to your midterm, watch this playlist created by Spring 22 students, right? 22 videos or 10 videos discussing the concepts that will be super duper important in the midterm. How about that? Okay, and that's like, and you can be guaranteed that people will watch it for all the quarters, henceforth, right? Everybody will say, I want to watch one of these review videos before I go to the midterm. So, all right. So why don't we do that? At least we won't bore Jaden to yawning again. So, all right. So, do you guys want to talk amongst yourself, or do you want to code? Either way is okay with me. Even if you talk amongst yourself, it's only a half hour. Okay, it's just going to be practice, and maybe this will be a crappy talk, right? Because it's the first time. I don't expect it's going to be your, viral hit already. But who knows? It may be. But this would be a first attempt, and then say, well, next time you do it, well, you can watch it and say, well, you know what, we'll do a slightly better talk show. And by the time we get to the end of the quarter, maybe you have everything to nail down, right? So the moderator will have a notebook saying, oh, these are exactly the things I need to do in sequence to get a successful viral video. Yes, Jaden, yes.
Yeah, I just have several questions about the
Hey,
exam.
can't hear you. Your microphone is on, off.
Is it working now?
Can't hear you.
It says I'm going through on my end.
I can hear him.
Can other people hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him.
Yeah, we can hear him.
Oh, you
Yeah, I think
cannot
it
hear
has
him?
to be. Yeah, I think it
Oh
has
my
to be
God.
you.
Hey, hang on, Jaden, right? So the only reason I can hear you is because I gave nobody a chance to talk, and I've just been blabbering on and on. Hang on one sec, okay? Hey, Google, connect to my Mac. I thought I said that before. Hey, Google, connect to my Mac.
This device is already connected to
It's
545.
okay. Maybe
You
it's.
can ask me to disconnect it.
Hey, Google, disconnect. I had this problem yesterday. All right, let me do this now. Hey, Jaden, can you say something?
Is it working now?
Yeah, hello or something. Just say hello.
Hello?
I can't hear you. All right, let me go to Alexa. Can you say something now?
Hello?
545.
Say something.
Hello?
Yeah, okay, that changed for it. I don't know what the hell is going on. I in fact rebooted the Google today. I'll fix it later. All right, so go ahead, Jaden. You had a question.
Is it working now?
Yeah, it's working. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I just have like some questions about the exam.
About the midterm, or?
The midterm, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And what day is it due by, and what day do we take it on?
Okay, Thursday. It is due on Thursday. And you can check in the Canvas and let me know if it's not set up correctly, and I will fix it as soon as possible. Opens, I think, at midnight on Wednesday, and then it is.
I think you have it set to June.
Oh,
midterm.
I do.
Yeah, you have the midterm set to June.
Oh, okay. Thank you again. Yeah, maybe I should. And then that means I should, because someone reminded me about the practice midterm. Was it you? Last quarter, last class. Yeah. Okay. So maybe all of the dates are screwed up. I'll go and.
The midterm is set to June, and the midterm practice won't unlock until tomorrow.
No, I fixed the practice.
No, but it said it's locked. It's locked. Wednesday. It's locked to Wednesday,
yes,
11 p.m.
The practice midterm is locked until tomorrow. That is correct. Right? It'll open tomorrow, and you have 2 days to do the practice midterm, any number of times before the actual midterm. And I bet the final is off too, right? The final is probably a different time. I'll need to go and fix it after class today.
Okay. So the
thanks for.
Yeah. So the midterm is due Thursday?
Thursday, and it'll be open all day. Okay. You can take it anytime on Thursday, but you can take it in spurts. You got to do the whole thing in one sitting.
Okay.
1 hour. It's very similar to your data representation quiz, except the questions will be about programming, not about data. Yeah.
Sorry, did you say that the practice exam is going to be available on Wednesday?
Tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. No, was it Wednesday? I don't know. Jay didn't have the right date.
Yeah, it says the midterm practice is locked until Wednesday, 11 p.m.
No, it can be. Maybe it's a Tuesday. All right, I'll make sure that it's available all day tomorrow. And yeah, or even today. I can open it up today until tomorrow night.
It would be great.
Tomorrow's Wednesday. Tim, you had a question?
Oh no, just saying that today would be great. I work on Wednesdays.
Yeah, today. Okay, I'll open the midterm so that it opens up today after class. Right? Well, I can do it even when you guys are talking amongst yourself. I don't have a problem with that. So you guys want to talk amongst yourself, or do you want to?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, and just take turns. Maybe Shadi, you can volunteer to be the first moderator, right? And then after a little while, after the first thing is discussed, you can hand it over to Tim, and he's play this what is this thing called?
Popcorning it?
Relay, pass the baton or something like that. I don't know. You can pass it on. You can nominate someone. What is the game?
Popcorning it? I call it popcorning it. I don't know.
All right, okay, something like that. So you can nominate someone, and then can go in circles, And it's great. Okay, take this opportunity to play around with your different skills, and bring all of your skills to bear. It shouldn't be only programming, right? Programming by itself is, is just an aesthetic thing that you can enjoy. But programming together with other skills that you can bring into it, like your artistic aesthetics sense, your ability to interact with other people, all of those things together, that's when you get a really nice dish, right? You can't just eat salt by itself, but salt added with other things is delicious. So, all right, so bring everything you have to bear on your programming skills. It shouldn't just be programming. All right, thank you very much. Anytime you want me to participate, okay, just call me. I'm just going to be here. In fact, I'm just going to be behind your laptop, okay? Maybe I'll walk over to the kitchen and make a coffee or something, but I'm going to be here. Call me, and it's on, on the big speaker, so I can hear you no matter where I am. So, right, and keep talking, no silence. All right, thank you. I'm so psyched because, and I do listen to the video afterwards. So I play the video and I listen to it later on, at least before I go to bed, and I enjoy it. I find it much better than watching a Netflix film many times, right? So because Netflix after a while is the same old thing over and over again, but you guys, every time I watch a video, it's different because someone comes up with something cool. Okay, so all right, thank you.
Okay, so my question is about the leap year. I know we already got graded on quest 3, but the leap year thing just doesn't work for me. I do have the code, but and I think I'm following the logic for the every 400 year thing or every 100 year thing, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't give me the right output. I don't know if I can I share my code so you guys can see where
No, you can't. I think best to describe your thought process of how you set up.
Yeah, okay. So well, I had some if and else if cases. The first if is the true one, which is if it's every 400 years. So if it's divisible by 400, give me a return a true. And then I said, if it's divisible by 100 though, return false because of the 100 year thing. And then I said, the regular leap year thing, if it's divisible by 4, return true. If it's not, return false. And I get the wrong output.
You mentioned it in the PDF that you associated with that class, that the Wikipedia article, I don't know if you got a chance to look at that one, has a really, really good diagram of kind of in a code sort of format, like if then.
Oh, it's pseudocode?
I found that really helpful to code.
That's fine. I think I did look over the website and other websites to understand the concept of leap year and all the edge cases, but it doesn't seem like I'm implementing it correctly.
Yeah, you said that you did the divisible by 4 after the evenly divisible by 100.
Yeah. And it's in an else if statement. It's not in an if statement.
Right. I can't think of in the moment here why it would make a difference, but the way they did the logic on Wikipedia is they did the divisible by 4 first. And then if yes, if that's true, then check if it's divisible by 100.
So what's wrong with the code? It's not working?
No, it's not giving the right output.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give an example of an output?
Yes, let me actually run it so I can. I gotta do all the thing with VS Code. Give me a sec.
No problem. Yeah, if it works on certain numbers and it doesn't work on certain numbers, that might help with the troubleshooting.
Give me a sec. Okay, I can make this work. Sorry. Wait, why can't I make this work? Give me a sec. Okay, wait, let me share my, if I share my screen, you're gonna see my thing. I guess we can move on from my question and come back to it when I can get it to work and we can try outputs.
I just have a quick question. Where do you guys find the practice midterm that you were talking about?
If you go on quizzes on the on Canvas, it should pop up right there, like on the little sidebar where it says quizzes, where I went at least.
Oh, I see. Thank you. I see it. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
I have a cool question for quest 4 and getting the, because you know on the first one for the guessing number, it's like asking to return how many times it took them if they got it correctly. Do you guys have like any resource to better understand? Or 6 times, but I don't know how to get the user amount of times that they guessed, if they guessed it right, if that makes sense.
So what, are you using a loop or?
Yeah, so I'm using a for loop. So like for, and I use like the for loop where it like can run through it 6 times so they can guess 6 times. So I have that working correctly, but I don't know how to implement or I don't know how to get the number of times. If like, let's say the number was 3 and they guessed it on the second time, like you got it in 2 tries. You know what I mean? So I don't know how to get that number back so to print it out.
Okay, so you have a loop that iterates, so what's in your for loop statement?
So
It's
in my for
or
loop,
not, or just the conditions, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. It's like
like
for
inside of the,
parentheses, yeah, parentheses.
yeah, so I have it for like int n equals 6, n is greater than 0. Someone replied to my Reddit, so I kind of just used that as a, and changed the numbers, and so it's int n equals 6 and greater than 0, and then n decrements, if I said that right, and then it just runs through it like enter your guess. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
working right. So it goes like enter guess, and I just did 1, 2, 3 all the way up to 6, and then it ends at 6. But I don't know where, like I said, like if on guess 3 or 4, they guess the number right, and
Okay.
then I can get it to return like if, so inside the for loop, I have a if, like if statement, like if the guess is equal to, I put my own number just to kind of put like a test. If guess is equal to my number, then print out you found it in, that's where I'm stuck right now to get that amount of times that a user it took them to guess that number.
So for your for loop statement, it's pretty interesting because so the way we learned it, I mean the way we've seen it is that usually it actually increments instead of, but yours goes down. So like,
Yeah.
for example, you set n equals to 6, and then you go down until it hits 0, which works. But a lot of people tend to do the increment up, where it's you set the I equal to 0 and then you go up. The way
Yeah.
you did it definitely works too. But what you can do is you can actually take that n. I mean, it's a lot harder, but you can do some fancy math to just say like, if n is 6, right? Because you start out at 6 and they get it. You can say, well, they got it when n is still 6. So you can use the n as your variable.
Okay.
If that makes sense, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think I shared that, but I think I shared like one of the links was wrong. I think it
On
was
the
like
on
the
the Reddit.
opposite of what we learned. I think it was like, yeah, the format was different.
Yeah, I think hold on, let me go to the, yeah, I think that was you. I used that and it worked. I just changed the numbers around on the first, I think it was the first link that you sent. On the first link under the plus
Oh.
document, like the actual formatting, I literally just changed the numbers to the number of guesses and left that as it was, and it worked. But I kind of think I know what you're saying, Michael. My math just isn't that fancy yet.
So I mean, I guess you can just use a ton of if or switch case or something just to make it
Yeah.
make it easy for yourself. But the other way would be just to, instead of having n start at 6, you can start n at 0, and then say when n is when n doesn't go past 6, since they only get 6 guesses, and then you can directly just reference the variable n in your guesses,
Oh, okay.
if that makes sense.
Kind of.
So yeah, for
It's
example,
incrementing, right?
yeah,
It's like
Huh?
instead of like decrementing, you can increment it on your
Yeah.
for loop, so it goes from 0 to 6.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Or if you decrementing, you can use like a while loop. While I is like larger than 0, and you continue the loop
Okay.
because you're decrementing it.
Okay, I can try that. I guess the only other, I guess I just don't know how to get the like how to print out the number of times it took them. Is that what you guys are explaining too, or is that just for the guessing?
So
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think whenever your secret number matches with the user input number, your that guessing number should be the n. But in your case, it could be probably 7 minus something, because if there's 6, start from the 6, so it's like the first guess. So you can put the n equal output as the guessing number 7 minus 6 or something, 7 minus 5 or something. So that's like the second guess.
Okay.
Without going another loop or something.
Okay.
But basically, yeah, when you match the secret number with the user number, the n gonna be the
This may be a good time
guessing
to do
number,
something.
but with you it should be 7 minus something.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think I figured
right,
it out.
I'll
Thank you
try to
guys.
On that same quest, did anybody have issues with the E to X mini quest?
Yeah, I'm still working on it.
Me too.
I was able to. I think I was able to get through eTalks. What I'm having trouble is with inconsistency in AP terms and just, I don't know. I get it says I'm running an exception error within my GP terms.
Hmm. Like I feel like I can get mine to produce a result that may or may not be correct, but when I submitted it to the Quest site, and one thing that really confuses me is like, so the 0th term should equal 1, isn't that right?
For
When they end
eTalk.
for eTalks, if the I guess
0.
Yeah, it should equal.
it should equal 0. So if n equals 0, is that referring to that, the 0th term?
Yes, if n equals 0, yeah.
Because the Quest site said that it like inputted a random number for x and a 0 for n, and it expected a 0 in return.
Yes.
But shouldn't
If n is 0, then it should be 0.
So then that's not the 0th term. That's 0 terms at all. Is that? I think I got confused there.
I think the 0th term should always be 0, is what it's saying.
But n equals 0 is not return the 0th term, which is 1.
Yes. Sorry. So if n is 0, it should return 0.
The first term gonna be 1, e to the 0. X gonna be 0. The first term gonna be 1. 0 term always gonna be 0, I guess. no matter what the x value.
Correct, but passing a 0 for n into the function shouldn't return 1 then?
Correct. If n is 0, it should be 0.
Right. Okay. So then n being 1, is that the 0th term or the first? Like,
It'll be second term technically in a way.
it'll be the second?
If you start from 0, 1, 2, 3, so 0 gonna be the first term.
Okay. I think I was like using n as my term there, so then I could just do n plus 1 to.
Yeah, I was confused on that as well. I think I had to just implement a simple, like just one if line, just be like.
If it's 0, return 0.
Yeah,
I saw
and then I
on-
just moved
yeah.
everything down.
Okay.
I saw on Reddit that I think Kwan was saying like you have to either what do you call for that? They declare the 0 term without taking into inside the loop, and it's always make it 0 on the side. Like take the last two like the points and declare it as a fixed value.
Sorry, how many variables are you using for the etox problem?
Variables.
Like how many like n equals 0, and then you have something to equal others, like to place into your for loop, right?
I have been trying to do it with a vector. I don't know if that was a good idea or not.
A vector?
Yeah, so I just make the vector size equal to n.
How does a vector work?
So then a vector is, it's kind of like an array, right? So I have an n number of terms, and then each of those terms is going to hold the value of x at whatever that part of the math is, and then you can add them all together in the end to send your result. If that's the way it worked in my head, but I don't have it working correctly yet, so that might be a bad idea to do.
Wait, are you having build problems, or are you having problems getting your equation to get the right results?
Right now, the latter, trying to get the right results, because I think it's my math that's wrong right now, actually. If the vector is working the way I hope it is.
Well, how do you have your equation set up so far?
Give me a second. So it looks like what I've been doing is I've been taking at the very start, right? So like Michael's saying, I created a 0 case. So like if n is passed in as 0, then returning 0. Just don't even do any math. If n is 1, I guess I started by declaring the vector as the size of n, which is passed in, and then giving every value in that vector the value of 1 to start with. So if n is 1, I'm just going to return the 0th term, or whatever, any term that gives it a 1. After that is where I started my for loop. So if n is greater than 2, I've got it written wrong here right now, then I'm going to take the first, or take the term that's in question, which would be 2 at the first loop, and I'm going to give it the value of the previous term, which would be 1 at the start, times, I was following, actually, I'm a little confused. I'm actually doing this. I was following a comment that Anand had posted, I think in a previous class. I was looking through the Reddit for the class, and he mentioned that like to do the math, you can just take you can kind of cheat by taking the previous term and multiplying it by x divided by I. So that's how I have my math working right now. And then after that for loop, the last for loop is going to take all the terms, it'll take the results variable that I created and just add the previous result, going through all the elements of the vector and then returning that. I don't know if I explained that well at all. But on the most recent run, I'm getting, so I don't have it up here. I wasn't getting the numbers totally right, so I think I've got something wrong here still. Did anybody else do it in a different way?
So I'm using kind of the same way, but I don't get that exact answer either yet. I'm still working.
I don't know how vector works, but since vector make it complicated, or can simply use a loop for loop.
I see. And then we just create a new variable for each.
You just loop I from 1 to n. I mean less than n.
Oh, just like add them as you do
and
it.
then you increment the I.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so instead of having I think what she's trying to say is instead of having a vector that holds these values, you can just say, since you only need one answer, so you'll multiply the answer by itself. So the answer
Got
will
it.
be multiplied. Or added, I guess in this
Mhm.
case.
Yeah, I think I might do that. I might just remove the vector altogether. Just try and make it simpler.
Because is the quiz 4 is like past due already, or is it due by next Monday? Or is it past due?
I'm not sure. I think it was due on Sunday.
Yeah, like okay, like this last week, right? On this
Yeah.
week Sunday.
Yeah.
Are you guys done? Do you want to start class? Do you have anything else to talk about amongst yourself, or do you want to start class?
I think we're just about wrapped up here.
Sorry?
I think he said we're just about wrapped up here.
Oh, you're wrapped up. Okay, great. Okay, all right, fantastic. Yeah, it's a great discussion. I was listening to the discussion, by the way. It's so nice, you know. It's very rare, I think, over the last several years anyway. It's very rare to find classes with such a healthy mix of students, right? Who are just interested in helping each other out rather than just climbing over each other. And so it's a real pleasure for professors, teachers, anywhere in the world to just watch students interact amongst themselves like this. Okay, so thank you very much for that. All right, so who wants to code today? Who wants to code? How about someone who hasn't gone? Yeah, okay, Michael, you haven't coded before, right? Yeah, so why don't you pick up the screen and are you on a Mac or a Windows machine?
Windows.
Windows, okay. All right, so let's, all right, if you're on Windows, we'll do a quick experiment and then we'll find out. All right, so if it's on Windows, we need to do something really quickly before, right? So let's go to your, start a new project, and, you know, let's do the usual thing. Yeah, new file. Yeah, you can't do a new project. It just has to be a file.
I would prefer to do a new file because I keep it all in one place.
Oh, wow. Okay, all right. Okay, all right, go ahead. Yeah, call it. All right, let's call it. screen, yeah, we'll call it screen.cpp, right? So the idea I have here, and then put the standard comments on top saying, code for today's date. And in this class, in this program, we're going to try and create a screen, a class called a screen, which allows us to draw on the screen and paint it on the console. Okay, I think it'll be fun. But in order to see if it's going to work, we need to do a quick experiment. Okay, all right, so yeah, blank line and then hash include IO stream, and then yeah, you got a typo there, fix that. Yeah, and then yeah, and then no, I think that's enough. Yeah, vector, we need vector also. Include, yeah, there's a typo there too, I fix that. Right, and then yeah, using namespace, we'll go to main. There's two things I wanted to check if it's on Windows, because I remember thinking back to my own days when I was playing with this many years ago, maybe a decade ago, right? It wasn't there. It was a pain. So put the statement here inside of main. Put a statement inside of main. Put a statement saying you sleep, USLEEP, you sleep. That's micro sleep. Okay, that is sleep for a certain number of microseconds. You sleep. Open parentheses, let's say, so 5 million seconds is 5 million microseconds is 5 seconds, right? So 1 million microseconds is so all right. So 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000, and then semicolon after that, and then put a put a cout statement at the end. After that, yeah. See out, finish sleeping or something like that, and I'll finish sleeping. Now it's already underlined, so that's all. I'm pessimistic. We may need to do this on online GDB, because online GDB runs on a Linux machine, so we are sure to find these functions. So so open a tab in Chrome and say you sleep Microsoft Windows C++, right? You can share that private tab so that everybody knows what we're doing. Why is uSleep? I'm pretty sure one of my past students did use uSleep on Windows. We'll see. So, are you on Chrome, Michael?
Yes. Sorry, I don't use Zoom often. I do not
Yeah,
know
that's
how
fine.
to. I do not know how to adjust.
Oh, so
sharing.
yeah, well, you go to your share screen at the bottom of your Zoom. That control strip. You see share screen, right?
Mhm. Oh yes. Okay, got it. It's hiding.
Yeah, and in your Chrome window, you say, yo, uSleep 3. No, you want to say Microsoft Windows. Yeah, uSleep C++, Microsoft Windows. uSleep is obsolete. Workaround for Microsoft Windows. All right, click that. It's Stack Overflow, so someone's probably got an answer there. Does anyone say, is that pain? What a pain. You know what? We will not use Windows, but we will code. We'll code in your Chrome tab. We'll just go to online GDB, okay? And copy that code. Copy that code from the other one in here. Yeah, go to your. No. The code you already typed in VS Code. Yeah. Put it in your. Yeah, Command A, Control A. All right, good. Now compile and run this. Hopefully, we should see that finish sleeping thing. Oh, it didn't. Okay, all right. So now in your tab for Linux, right? Yeah, tab for Linux. Maybe there's an include file we're missing. So go back to that Chrome tab, the other tab, the tab on the left, right? You had a question for Linux. Go back on one back, history back. Yeah, right. You sleep. One more back. All right, the first one. You sleep 3, right? What file do you need? Hash include unistd.h. Okay, all right. So that's what you need to include. Okay, great. So it actually does work. It works and it sleeps for 1 second. Okay, so that's one thing we needed. One more thing we needed. Okay, let's go back to your.
It looks like that also works in VS Code.
It
The
does?
UNST.
You tried that, but you're on Windows 11. You're on Windows 11, right?
10.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, it helps out in Xcode too.
Xcode, I think I know, because Xcode is basically just a Unix-like operating system. Mac is basically more Unix-like than Windows, I think. So yeah, all right. So you can try that. Good. Very nice experiments. I'm pleased to see that. Okay, because now you can see the 1 second gap between the 2 coutts, which is really cool.
I feel like that was too fast. Okay, there we go.
Oh, it's still too fast. Why? That's supposed to be 5 million microseconds, right? That's 5 seconds, isn't it?
It should be. I think this should be 10. Oh, yeah.
Something funky. No. I think what's going on is that it's not compiling and running. It's just kind of running what you had before. You need to compile and run. So you need to. Whatever, you have the right thing there, but I think you just need to compile and run. Yeah, 10 seconds, and then it's not compiling, it's just running. Is it compiling?
So it had the error. It had the error, so.
Oh, if it had an error, it's not going to run. So why does it say, what is the error?
Oh, I put an extra asterisk.
Oh, I see.
I thought it was working earlier. It looked like it actually waited for like.
No, that's not long enough. It should wait 15 seconds, right? 15 million microseconds is 15 seconds, isn't it? Someone correct me if my math is wrong here. 15 million microseconds is 15 seconds, isn't it? So it should wait for 15 seconds. But it's not running. It's got an error. That's why it's not. All right. So let's look at warning. It's only a warning. You sleep. Right. Just one sec. Oh, you sleep is deprecated. Why does it say
code you have there is working on my machine? I wonder, do you need to save it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, save it, and then can you save it? Yeah, now run it. Now compile and run it now, and let's see. We can also compile and run it by hand. Okay, just go to the terminal. Yeah, there. Hit enter in the terminal part. Yeah, no, right there. You got the terminal right there. The bottom panel.
Oh.
Yeah. Click there. Hit enter a couple of times. Okay. Good. Hit Control S. Control L.
Control L. Sorry.
Control L. Oh. Good. Okay, that also works. Which means that all right. Now do G++ and hit enter. G++ and hit enter. Great. Okay. So it's in your path. What is the name of this file? Screen.cpp. Do a dir space screen. All right. Do you have? All right. You do have screen.cpp. All right. So now type this in. G++ space -o screen.exe space screen.cpp. Right? Essentially, what we're doing there is doing what Xcode or VS Code is going to do in the background. Right? VS Code and Xcode, they're just shells. They're going to do this in the background. We just get the GUI there. Okay. So what does it say? What does it say here? Is deprecated. I didn't even know that it was deprecated. So let's go back to that Stack Overflow thing to see what they suggest we should use instead of uSleep. I can just say uSleep deprecated, search for uSleep deprecated, yeah. And then I'm pretty sure one of those posts will tell us what to use. Obsolete, yeah, there you go, workarounds. All right, I use this. Okay, all right, here's what we're going to do, okay? Rather than futz around with this and try to waste time here and end up wasting time, we'll go back. We're not going to do microsecond sleep. Microsecond sleep is for you to research and switch that one line to later on to use sleep instead of sleep. We'll just use sleep instead of, sleep is, part of Unix for ages. So just say sleep and don't say so many seconds, okay? Sleep just 5 seconds, because sleep is whole seconds, not microseconds. Okay, now you'll get 5 seconds of sleep for sure. Okay, because that I don't think you can deprecate that. 5 seconds. So in our, so what we'll do is when we draw the screen, so here's the plan I have in mind. We want to create a class which is a representation of a rectangular screen, okay, of all spaces. Now we want to draw something using pixels on that screen. Put a bunch of dots, maybe, I don't know, by drawing that screen and then waiting for 1 second and then clearing the screen and drawing it again. Waiting for 1 second, clearing the screen, drawing it again. So what is the effect you'll see if we did that? You have a picture, okay, and then after 1 second that picture is gone, another picture. After 1 second that picture is gone, another picture. Except we can make sure that these pictures are not, every successive picture is not completely different. It's just the same picture slightly shifted. So maybe you got a stick man, okay, in one of the pictures. When that's gone and the next one is drawn, it's the same stick man, but to the right. And then when that's gone and the next one is drawn, the same stick man a little more to the right, okay. And that happens every second. It's overdrawn, right? Cleared and drawn again. So what is the effect we'll see?
It's like a small short movie.
Yeah, so it'll look like a short movie, right? It'll look like that man is moving on screen because he's there and then he's been erased, drawn to the right, erased, drawn a little bit more to the right, and so on. And we do that 15 seconds, 1 second gap. You'll have 15 frames played at 1 second gap, right? Now, obviously, because it's 15 frames, it won't look like proper animation because we're waiting for 1 second. Right. However, after this class, you can do some research on USleep and see how you can figure it out. Pretty sure we figured it out last quarter when I was doing something else that it required USleep with other students. So you can figure out how to do shorter sleeps. And then you'll actually have a real animation playing out on screen. You can create a little movie made with pixels and that's moving around on screen. So I think that'll be funny. Okay, so we can try that. So USleep works. So regular sleep works. We want to try one more thing here. Go back to the Chrome tab. Yeah, go back to the Chrome tab and Control L. Before you go back to the Chrome tab, we'll do one more thing. All right, go back to the GDB, online GDB. Where you do see out the did you do sleep 0.2 or 2?
Yeah, I tried 0.2. I'm just trying it just to see if it'll work.
Yeah. Good idea. Fantastic, right? Exactly what I would have tried too, right? What happens if you try 0.2? It'll be 0, essentially, because sleep takes an integer parameter, right? So if you pass it 0.2, it'll say, well, 0.2 is floating point, so I'm going to discard the fractional part and pass only the integer part, so it'll only get 0. So that's sleep 0.2 is the same as sleep 0. And that's the behavior you would see, right? If you run it now, it'll just say before finished. Immediately. Now you have 5 seconds. Oh no, it's 0.2. Yeah, all of them 0, right? Immediately. Because it's getting past sleep 0, sleep 0, sleep 0, right? So many sleep zeros. And also you don't have a new line after the line before. So that's why it's right after, right? So yeah, put an endl there. I love it because, this is the way we should be coding, right? We're doing little experiments along the way like this. There, you see, it's all.
Yeah, I don't think it's working.
It doesn't. Yeah, so you can have any number of those. However, if you have sleep 1, then it'll sleep for 1 second, right? If you have sleep 1, it'll sleep for 1 second. A whole number, any whole number, it'll sleep for, and then you can repeat that, and it'll sleep for that many. Why is it sleeping so long? I thought it was just 1 second.
I put 4.
It was 4.
Okay,
All
so
right,
yeah,
so
the whole numbers work.
Yeah. Okay. One more thing I want to try was A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. L is 12. Okay. All right. So let's try this. Okay. So Control L. How do you print a single character without using printf? We're using cout. we're just gonna use printf because it's just an experiment. Just type what I say, and you can Google this later on if you want. Okay, yeah, right there. You say printf, open parentheses. Within quotes, you say %c. No, percent, the percent sign. And then outside of the quotes, say comma. Yeah, and then 12, the number 12. Yeah, and a semicolon at the end. Yeah, now run it. I think if it works, it's the same as hitting Control L on your terminal, and it should clear the screen. Let's see, I hope it works. It didn't work. Okay, so now go to your tab. It didn't work. Go to your tab, the Chrome tab, and look for ANSI code. Yeah, type in this, right? ANSI, ANSI, space, code, clear screen. Yeah, all right. So can you click that? What is it? I think it is escape. What does it say? No, there should be an escape sequence somewhere. Escape sequence further down. Oh yeah, there you go. Escape square bracket 23. Okay, all right. So escape square bracket, is it 23? Hang on, 23 or 22? I have to change my glasses. Is that 23? No, there you go. What is it? 23? Is it?
33.
Yeah, 23. Okay, all right. So go back to your program. Yeah, and turn that into whatever is in there. You can just turn that into this.
I think it's a 2J.
Hmm?
It's 2J instead of 23.
Oh, there's also 2J? Oh, it's 2J, not 23.
Yeah.
Oh, escape square bracket 2J. All right. Now, yeah, save and run it. Let's see if it clears the screen. You need a semicolon, right? So let's see if it clears the screen. Oh yeah, it actually worked. Yeah, run it from the command line. Just run it from the command line right there and see if it works. Screen. No, not there. Just say screen /screen.exe /screen.exe. You should just clear the screen. Okay, well, it's actually working because it did clear the screen. What was on the screen is gone. So I think we have what we need in order to create our frame, because what I was trying to do in my mind was have a rectangular portion that we print with lots and lots of cout lines, let's say 10 lines, right? And then clear the whole thing and then print the same 10 lines over again. And then clear the whole thing, print the same 10 lines over again. Now, if we didn't clear the screen, it won't look like animation, right? Because the first 10 lines here didn't clear the screen, the next 10 lines are going to be here, right? And then it'll keep scrolling up and you won't get the animation effect. However, if you clear the screen, right, it's being drawn in the same place. And so you get the animation effect. Does it make sense? And we can try that here even before we go and do our classes. Right there, you say, where you say finish sleeping. Yeah, after that printf, after the printf statement, yeah, there on the next line you say cout, and then first frame, yeah, first frame, right? And then copy the printf and put it under that. Copy the yeah, exactly, the whole thing, yeah. Yeah, and then that, and then say second frame, and then do one more frame like that, yeah. Right, and change that to third, and no, I think that's a third. Oh, is it?
Second.
Oh, I see. One more.
Should I put a sleep in between?
Oh yeah. Thank you. All right, sleep one. Don't sleep 2 seconds. 1. Thank you, Michael. Thinking a step ahead, one step ahead. All right, that's great. Right, let's compile and run it. We'll see if
it was so fast.
No, it can be fast.
Oh, because it clears it instantly. Maybe I should put the sleep here.
No. It should still. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right. And then you clear. Sleep and then clear. That's correct. Thanks.
There we go.
Okay, so it's working, except that why is it going to the next line? Oh, because you're printing endl. Even if you print endl, it shouldn't go to the next line. Why is it going to the next line? Well, we'll figure that out. Okay, we'll figure that out. Okay, when we actually start coding. So I think we have all the nuts and bolts we need to create our class for creating a nice, cool little animation. Okay, so now we can. That's at the end of our experiment. We can actually start coding, right? So now let's go to the top of this program. We'll get rid of all of this. Get rid of all the inside the main. Okay, all right, and I leave the return there, but yeah. Great. Okay, now go above main and say here, but put a comment there saying we will create a class called screen with capital S. Oh yeah, you're waiting for me. Within which we will maintain a vector of vectors. Okay, so a vector of vectors. Now this is actually a very sophisticated concept that most students in CS2A don't get to play with, because it's a two-dimensional vector. Now it's only in CS2B, the first or second quest, that you start playing with two-dimensional vectors. Okay, but the concept itself is very small and very simple, because you know what a vector is. A vector is basically many items of the same type. Yes, arranged one after another. Now, what happens if each item in the vector is itself a vector? So let's say I have a vector of 10 elements, and each element is a vector of 10 spaces. So I have 10 space vector, another 10 space vector, another 10 space vector. I have 10 of those. Now, can you picture this? Everybody, can you all picture this? Yeah? Yes or no? All right. Okay. All right. So all right. So this is what we're going to do. So a vector of that's what it means. A vector of vectors representing the printed screen, representing the printed screen. All right, from period, and on the next line you say this class will also have special methods to draw on the screen on a screen object, not the screen, on a screen and capital S object. Yeah, capital S, because it's the class name, screen object, and to print the screen out to the console, and to clear the screen. I think those are the only three things we need. Okay, and to clear the screen, so that we can now do looping to get our effect. Okay, that's great. Now, so this is our class, and the way you declare a class in C++ is simply to start out with the word class, right? So you say class space, and then capital S screen, and then space open brace, and then enter. All right, now put a semicolon at the end after the closing brace. So inside of that is where we're going to fill in our class, right? Now, what we'll do here inside of this class is to say this screen is going to have, inside of it, it's going to have stuff that is not going to be visible to other people. If you want to see what's in there, you got to call, dump it to the console. Okay, so we're going to say this is private. Nobody can see what it is. So write the word private and then put colon after that. Yeah, thank you. Right. Did you actually go to the column 0, or did it automatically go to the column 0 for you?
I did it.
Oh, I see. Okay, because column 0 is default indentation used by professional programmers, for many professional programmers, and the default indentation in VS Code I found was like 4, maybe I don't know, 4. So all right, so yeah, private, and you can get rid of the space above, blank line above. So all right, private, and on the next line you're going to say indent in now, and you're going to say vector open angle bracket, that's less than sign. Yeah, vector again. Yeah, and no. Now vector of vector, but what is that vector of, right? So that vector is going to be a vector of just characters, because that character can either be a space, which means there's nothing there, or it could be asterisk or something you put in there so that shows up on screen. Okay, so it's going to be a vector of characters. Okay, yeah, there you go. And then space, and this is going to be our variable. So you can say underscore pixels. Okay, yeah, semicolon. All right, enter. Now we're going to provide one more enter. We're going to provide a bunch of methods which will access the screen. Okay, so go back to the column 0 and say public. Now the private and public here mean that someone who uses a screen class cannot tell the screen class, show me your pixels, because pixels is private. So the screen will not show you pixels. However, outside users cannot access pixels because it's private. However, Michael is now going to provide a bunch of functions, and those functions are under the public grouping, which means that people that use the screen, even though they cannot access pixels, they can access these public functions. And these public functions, because they're inside of the screen, they can access pixels. Does that make sense? All right, so maybe it'll make sense after we write it down. Okay, so here, let's say the first one is clear. Okay, say void clear, void space clear, open close, no parentheses, semicolon, right? And then open close parentheses, and space before the semicolon space. And we know that, no, you're right, just semicolon there, because it's going to be changing pixels, right? Yeah, okay. All right, semicolon. And on the next line, you can say, you said bool space set underscore pixel, and then open parentheses. You can say x comma y, int x comma int y, or size tx and size ty, size tx and size ty. Ty. All right, semicolon. Right, and then spaces, and then 2 forward slashes for a comment. And you can say returns false if pixel is off screen. Returns false if pixel is off screen. Okay, so because people may be wondering, why is my set pixel boolean? What's the point of making a boolean function there? Okay, and then the next thing you want to do is void paint, right? Open close, semicolon, and then you can put a comment just like the previous one, saying this will dump the contents of pixels on the console after clearing it, right? After clearing it. Okay, that's it. So those are the only things we're going to do, and I think with this we should be able to create a movie, right? And I think it'll be fun. So now let's go, get rid of the 2 blank lines. Right, now after that, after the class declaration, we'll start defining those methods here. Okay, so enter one more time. Now let's say void capital screen, right? Capital S screen, double colon, just like namespace std double colon, you say double colon here, double colon clear, which means that now inside of this class there was a method called clear. Here's where I'm going to define clear, what it's going to do, right? Open close, and then on the next like the usual thing, curly brace, yeah. And in here you're just going to do what is that? Print that thing you have there. Print, you can just copy and paste, yeah. Okay, all right. So when that function is called, you're going to clear the screen. Is everybody okay so far? Okay, great. Now, like that, let's do one more function. Say set pixel. All right, bool set pixel. Right. So size tx, size ty, and then here, what you're going to do, the first thing you're going to do is find out if the pixel is within the screen or not. Because if it's outside of the screen, you can't set it, right? You only have a vector of the bounded size. So what we want to do is if x is less than, hang on, one sec. Okay, the first thing you want to do is if underscore pixels dot size, if underscore pixels, open parentheses, open parentheses, underscore pixels dot size equals 0, double equals 0, then just return false, right on the next line, return false. Yes, because if the screen is empty, there's no point, you can't set a pixel there. Right, now the next thing you want to do is you want to find out which what is let's say that this is the top left is 0, 0, and the bottom is, you're going like this. So now you want to say, how many rows down do I need to go? That is a y coordinate. Yes, the number of rows down is a y coordinate, isn't it? So we want to make sure that the y coordinate, the number, is less than the number of rows in the vector. Because if the vector only has 5 rows and you're asking it to set a pixel in 10, 10, right, it's not going to be able to do it, right? So you want to make sure that if y is greater than or equal to pixel dot size. Is it pixel or pixels? Pixels. Even the previous one should be pixels. Dot size, return false. And because these are just one word returns, it's usually not customary, many programmers will just omit the braces, because otherwise there's too many braces and it will clutter up your code. So it's just one line, right? So one statement, you can get rid of the braces, and you can just squeeze the code together better. Just get rid of braces. Just the braces. Yeah, the curly braces can go.
These ones? Oh.
Yeah, those ones. The curly braces can go. And that, will tighten up the code better. All right, great. Okay, now, and then now if x is greater than pixels of y, underscore pixels, square bracket y, greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Because the coordinate numbering will start at 0 and go up to x minus 1. 0 to x minus 1, 0 to y minus 1. That's x columns and y rows, right? Yes or no? 0 to x minus 1 is x columns, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way to x minus 1 is x columns, isn't it? You guys have to give me some feedback. All right, so 0 to x minus 1 is x columns. 0 to n minus 1 is n columns, right? Because 0 to n is actually n plus 1 columns, because you're including 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, up to n is n columns. But if you include 0, it's n plus 1, isn't it? So if I go from 0 to n, it's only n minus 1. So 0 to x is only x minus 1. Okay, so now we say if x is greater than or equal to underscore pixels, a square bracket y, close square bracket, dot size. Now also return 0. So those are what are called corner cases, okay? And these are the places where you will most likely get endlessly frustrated in 2B and 2C, because in your code, which actually has the right logic and doing everything correctly, you've forgotten to account for corner cases, okay? In fact, in CS2C, there is an entire quest in which it is designed to frustrate you endlessly with corner cases. And it is a very simple quest, probably less than 30 or 40 lines of code, but there will be so many corner cases here in that quest that you have to get used to just, identifying off the top of your head. You look at the code and you say, all right, all the corner cases are buttoned up, right? And after a while, it just becomes second nature in practice. Like when when you put a shirt on, you unthinkingly do all the buttons up, right? You don't say, oh, right, automatic. You don't say, oh, which button is undone and I'm going to do that. No, it's automatic. Like that, corner cases should become automatic. When you look at code, maybe you do the first cut of the code and don't think about the corner cases, but it's there in your mind. That's like putting your shirt on. You haven't done the buttons yet, but you have to put the shirt on, right? So that's done. And then you go and say, all right, now it's there. Now I need to go and button up, right? That's the corner cases. And that always has to be done every single time. If you're at an interview and you're coding in front of other people on the whiteboard, it's okay to get all the logic up on the whiteboard first. And then immediately after you get the whiteboard logic right, check through the logic, you have to say, okay, now the logic is okay. Let me button it up by looking for corner cases and make sure the corner cases work. Because you can have a world-class program, top of the notch, top-notch world-class program, but if it fails in corner cases, nobody's going to use it. Because corner cases may be the most common use cases too. Who knows, right? So you have to intercept these corner cases and say, in this situation, my program will not work. And say, tell that back to the user. It is always better to tell the user your input is wrong, and therefore I'm not going to write. I'm not going to run. Okay. Always better to tell the user input is wrong, therefore I'm not going to run. If you don't tell the user your input is wrong and crash instead, or mysteriously exit saying, well, I can't handle the input, the user is bound to think the most intuitive thing is that the program is crappy. The logic is wrong. That programmer doesn't know what they're doing, right? But your logic may be bulletproof. You might have written a fantastic program, but you're not able to handle the input. And that's why you died. But the user has no way of telling. They'll think the programmer has done a bad job. I'm going to delete the app from my phone. Does that make sense? And therefore, it is like super duper important whenever your program crashes or whenever you're not able to handle the input, it is important to tell the other party, the user, the client, to say, I am not able to do this because the input is wrong, not because my logic is wrong. And it's super duper important, even as a learner or as a child learning from guardians and parents and caregivers, to say, well, you asked me to do this, but I can't do this because the input is wrong. My thinking is correct, but the input is wrong. Okay. If you don't say that, the parent is likely to think, well, they're not able to do it. The thinking is incorrect. Let me fix their thinking. Right. And that's screwed up. The child is screwed up for life after that. So it's important to make sure that to tell the user, it's because of the input that I'm not able to do the job. Okay. So, all right. So now after the last return there, you enter. Now all you need to do is on the next line. All you need to do here is you're going to set the pixel, and we'll just use the asterisk character to set the pixel. Okay. So you're going to say underscore pixel, pixels, square bracket, X. No, is it? No, square bracket Y, square bracket Y, square bracket X. Okay, square bracket Y, close, open again, square bracket X equals asterisk within star, asterisk within single quotes. Okay, all right. So is everybody clear so far? So all this set pixel thing is going to do is basically going to take that pixel, that you take the coordinates and make that particular thing inside of the I just remembered we need to do not here elsewhere. Okay, so yeah, okay, all right. So we need to change the name. This is fine. This function is fine. We need to change the name of the previous function. It shouldn't be clear because that should be. All right, this is what we'll do. Okay, change the name. Yeah, change the name to clear entire screen. Clear entire screen. Clear entire screen. Right now, and then create one more function underneath, and then say clear screen, just like that, and say clear screen. Underscore screen. Right, open, close. And because it's a new function we're creating, this function is not in the declaration, right? So triple click on the line, triple click on the clear on the declaration line. Yeah, you need to fix that too. Yeah, clear screen, and then you need to create a declaration of the next one also. Void clear screen. Okay. Now the body of this function, in the body of this function, you're basically going to have a nested for loop. Okay, again looping. So a for size t, y equals 0, y equals 0, less than y is less than underscore pixels dot size. Yeah, open, close, and then y plus plus. And then next, yeah, and now for x equals, size t x equals, yeah, you have Michael's filling in size t and all, that's cool, right? X equals 0, x less than underscore pixels of y, underscore pixels sub y, that's square bracket y dot size. Yeah, and then y plus plus. No, I'm sorry, x plus plus. Yeah, and now you simply say underscore pixels of y and x, square bracket y, square bracket x, equals. Now you just want space within quotes, meaning that any pixel that's already there, we're just going to override it with space. So the next time the screen is printed, you only get, spaces. Does that make sense? Great. Okay, so now we have these. All right. I think that is that all. That's all we need. Why is this underlined? Why is the pixels underlined here in set pixels? In set pixels, why is that pixels underlined? What does it say? Is undefined. Oh, yeah. Okay, that yeah. The set pixel is actually a member function, so you need a screen double colon in front of that. It's no, not there. The name of the function there, there on this line, before the word set pixel, not there. Before the word set pixel, just like the previous one, screen double colon. Okay, all right. All gone. No red ink, right? No red ink. I think it's all gone. Okay, great. Now I think, do we have everything we need? Yes, I think we have everything we need to basically do a quick test, and we can test it, and I think we'll be out of time, and then we can pick up this code and do more actual animation next class on Thursday. We'll do some actual animation, but we want to test this now to make sure it goes, right? Oh my gosh, it's 10 o'clock. Okay, we'll just do a quick test, and those who want to go can go, but you can watch the video later on. But this is just going to be a really quick test. In our main, we're just going to do something in the screen, print it out, and see if it works. Okay, so all we need to do is just say in main, you say capital screen space SCR. Okay, space SCR. Okay, semicolon. And then on the next line, and then we're on the next line. We can say I see blank line after that, and say let's say clear screen. Oh, you know what, we forgot to do what is called a constructor, and we have to do this. Okay, unfortunately, if you guys have to go, you can tell me if you want to continue, pick this up on Thursday, we can do it. Right, we have to do a constructor. So under public, a constructor needs to be public, right? So the first method is, just say screen, SCREEN. Is it indented correctly? Yeah, it is. Right. And open parentheses, size t, x, size t, y. That's it, right? Size t, x, size t, y. That's a constructor. Now let's define the constructor. Right, that's the first function after line 28, right? After line 28, the first function, right there. Yeah, enter. Not there, there, enter. Yeah. Now you say it is screen double colon screen. And in fact, the constructor doesn't have a return type. That's how you can tell it's a constructor too many times. Screen double, open parentheses and just reproduce the signature, size tx, size ty. Right, and then curly brace, space, curly brace. Okay, now here, all you're going to do is simply say, so the first thing we want to do is underscore pixels dot clear, underscore pixels dot clear. Okay, I think there's a vector dot clear method, which will basically clear. It's not our clear, right? Open, close, semicolon. Good. Right, next line, you're going to say underscore pixels dot resize y, okay, because we want y rows in it. Underscore pixels dot resize y. Open, y, semicolon. And on the next line, you're going to say for size t, x equals 0, x less than, oh, you can't see, you can use x. By size t, I equals 0, I less than x. No. Yeah, I less than x. I less than x. I less than x. I plus plus. Yeah, on the next line. No, you don't need that. You don't need the curly braces. It's just going to be one line. Okay. On the next line, indent in, and you say underscore pixels square bracket I dot resize x, because you say I want to have y rows and each row should be x wide. Yeah, that's what that does. All right, now we got the constructor, we got this, we have everything needed to actually create animation and test it out. I can see that Jaden is yawning, and then Kate has left already. Kate, are you there? Gone. Changwan is gone. Anthony is gone. I would rather that we continue this on Thursday when more of us are here. Okay. However, if you guys want to play around with this more, extending it on your own, right? I would be psyched to see a discussion of you guys taking this to the next level and saying, hey, we've already got this. Let's see what we can do with it. Okay. Maybe you do some research to find out microsleep, how to do microsleep and so on, and play with it. You can also ask me for ideas on Reddit. Say, hey, we got this. Do you have any ideas on what we can do? I'll be happy to share ideas with you. Or if you guys can, haven't come up with interesting ideas, which I highly doubt, please do that before Thursday if you can. I will totally help out. If not, on Thursday when we start coding, we'll pick up this code. Hopefully, Michael, this is on online GDB, right?
I'll put it on there.
Yeah. So put it on online GDB and get the share URL, right? And share it on Reddit so that on Thursday we can just pick it up and fork it and work on it and start working on it. Yeah. And I think on Thursday we have a very good chance of actually wrapping it up and getting a working animation thing going. Maybe at the end of the Thursday we'll have a small movie we would produce. It'll be really cool, right? And it's very nice to do something like this. And in case you're interested, there was a student, Matthew Waters, and it's from several years ago, right? Not even last year, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. He went on to actually create a web app based on one of these things that we came up with in class. It is called rg.us, okay? arjie.us, right? You can go to that website, and that's a website that he created based on things like this we did in class. You can check it out. It's actually really, really cool. Okay, and ARJIE. Did you guys find it? Does it work? .us, not .com, right? rg.us, ARJIE.us. Does it work? URL? Does that URL go? Did you get a 404 or does it work? It's been a long time.
Well, it looks like it works somewhere.
Oh, cool. All right. So anyway, so you can use that as that student did my 2A, 2B, and 2C, and then did this app, which is really cool. And it's very nice too. So you can do something like this too, right? And this is basically the starting point of something like that. And there you go. So, and thank you all so much. Was this class useful, including not just what I spoke in class, but including the discussion you had, right? That mini talk show, which will continue to improve, right? It'll continue to improve. So by the time you're at the end of this class, end of this course, you'll probably have a really, really nice talk show that everybody wants to watch. Okay. So was it all useful? Fantastic. All right. So this is your first introduction to classes and objects. We'll take this to the next level on Thursday. And then from then on, we'll start playing with more and more sophisticated object-oriented concepts. Okay, so thank you all so much for attending today and being patient. So I will see you on Thursday. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.